Hi there, I'm Avery Miller, a solutions consultant from Bill. Today, I'm going to tell you and show you how you can automate your finances with Bill. High level agenda, I'm going to talk through our accounts payable product, our accounts receivable product, and our expense management corporate card program. Once we get through all of that, I'm going to actually jump into the platform and show you a high level demo and overview of our payables product. If time allows, depending on how long it takes, I will show a little bit of the expense platform, but definitely want to make sure we're able to see all of the payables. After all of that, we're going to come back into the slides. I'll talk a little bit about our customer story, which is featuring Blackstone. And then at the end, we do have a special promo offer that I will be able to share. So high level, Bill has around 500,000 customers today. On top of that, we also have around 8.7 million network members. These are vendors that are currently paying or getting paid through Bill.com. Last year, we sent around $345 billion in total payments, which is around 1% of the total US GDP. And we sent around $1 trillion in transactions last fiscal year. Biggest takeaway here is that we at Bill, we move a lot of money. We are very secure. We can work with you to effectively and efficiently make your back end processes a lot smoother, a lot more efficient, and a lot safer. We do have partnerships with some accounting platforms that you'll see here at the bottom. The one we're here to talk about today is going to be NetSuite. So I'll make sure to go into our NetSuite sync and show you how you can work to improve your AP processes through Bill. I mentioned it a little bit, but Bill is an all-in-one financial operations platform. So you'll see here in this screenshot, we do have a payables and receivables, spend and expense, and then the planning or forecasting and insights. We also have everything that you see and everything that you can do on our mobile app as well. Starting with AP, we have at Bill, we've taken the process of normal backend AP processes and bill pay from around 14 to 20-ish steps and broken that down into four consolidated steps. Step one, capture. This is where we get the invoices from your vendors, push them into the Bill platform, and then utilize AI to help you extract the data off of your documents so that you are no longer manually entering in dates, amounts, coding, all of the fun stuff that nobody wants to do. We can have AI help you with. The second step is approvals. So we are able to take whatever's being entered and being coded and use that to route for approvals. I'll show you once we get in, but we have what we call policies that are going to say if this, then that. So if the bill is coded to XGL account, we need it to go to this person for approval. Once it's approved, the last step in the process is going to be scheduling your payments and actually sending the money to your vendors. Through Bill, we can do ACH payments, virtual card or card payments, and we can also do checks, so we can send those on your behalf, and then any international wires we can also send for you. The unofficial last step that is here, it is automated, so I don't necessarily consider it something as taxing as the other processes. But the last step in the process is reconciling. So running a sync, either letting the auto sync pick it up, but essentially we want to take whatever data is being entered into Bill and push it back into NetSuite so that your ledger's updated and everything is communicating back and forth. This sync does also go two-way, so any information that's entered into NetSuite will also be pulled into Bill so that Bill's also being kept in the loop when things are changed in the NetSuite side. Next product is the receivables. It's the exact same idea as the payables, just flipped. So first step would be creating the invoice. You can either create your invoices directly in Bill, you can create them in NetSuite, you can do a bulk upload if there's a bunch you want to get in at one time. Either way, once the invoice is in Bill and it exists in Bill, we can then send them out of Bill. We can send either an email, we can schedule an email, you can grab a payment link to send to your customer so that they can pay you. Either way, once that bill is sent, or sorry, that invoice, once it is sent, your customer can then pay you, which brings us to the third step, which is where we can collect. There's two different platforms where your customers can pay. One is a guest pay link. So your customers, it's a one-to-one. So for every invoice, there's a link. They go in, add their bank account or their credit card. Once they've added it, we pull the funds from their account and deposit them into your bank account. The other option is a portal. So each bill receivables account is given a portal. Through this portal, your customers can go in, create a username and password for you, right? Connected directly to your bill account so that any open invoices they will be able to see, any past payments they will also be able to see. They can do auto pay. All of it's going to be controlled by them, but it's going to give them additional visibility so that they're not having to reach out and be dependent on you to find their past data. Last unofficial but official step is reconciling. Again, because we have that bidirectional sync with NetSuite, as you're creating invoices either in Bill or in NetSuite, they're going to communicate and sync back and forth. Same thing with your payments. So as you're creating and receiving those payments in Bill, we will tell NetSuite that that bill's been paid, it's no longer open, the payment's applied, and you're able to expedite your collection process. Last product area, the spend and expense corporate card program. So what we've done is we created or we have a software that is directly connected to a corporate card. In this case, it is a Visa card, bill issue Visa. We allow you to apply for a credit line and divvy out your spend into what we call budgets. So that first step here, cards and budgets, we allow you to give power to your internal users, your card holders, so that they can spend confidently, but also give you as an admin the visibility into where they're spending and control in real time instead of waiting for the month to end to get an expense report to see where people are spending company money. Second, here, automated expenses. This is just telling you how effective it's going to be as far as timing goes. So as I'm swiping my card, I actually have mine sitting in front of me. I just had to buy a flight. Um, as I swipe my card, whether I'm is somewhere in point of sale at a Starbucks or if I'm online shopping for a flight, once I use my card, it's going to automatically push into my mobile app. And then from an admin point of view, you're going to see those transactions as well. From either my mobile app or my web app, I can upload a receipt so that I'm not having to keep my receipts with me. It's going to automatically pull, and then we have AI that can read the receipt, read the transaction, and connect them so that you, as admins and approvers, aren't having to go in and compare receipts to the transactions. Real-time insights, again, this is just going to emphasize that you are getting things as they're happening. A lot of times, if I'm somewhere in public and I'm using my Divvy card, as I'm spending, I'm getting a notification. I don't even finish filling out the tip section before I've got a notification on my phone to go in and code and approve the bill or the transaction from my end. Last step is sync. So once everything's been coded and entered, we've uploaded our receipts, we've gotten our approvals, we can then sync that transaction right into NetSuite. That's automatically going to be classified based off of the coding that was entered in the spend and expense product. And then all of your systems are kept up to date, your ledger's up to date. I mentioned it a little bit. We do have an automatic two-way or bi-directional sync with NetSuite. So high level, you can add new vendors in Bill, or you can add new vendors in NetSuite. When you run a sync, the systems are going to communicate back and forth. This is going to eliminate dual entry. You're only going to have to enter things one time, run a sync, it'll pull back and forth. It's also going to make your life a little bit easier when it comes to month-end processes. You're no longer going to have to take your bank statement, compare it to open invoices, and apply those payments. Because Bill is the one that moves the money, so we own the money movement license, we are able to automatically apply those payments for you. So when they're syncing into NetSuite, it's automatically applied to both invoices if we're receiving and bills if we're paying. From here, I'm going to switch my screen share and jump into the demo. I'll go through a high level, our four-step process through the payables. And then again, if we have time, I will go into spend and expense, show you a little bit of what that product looks like. And then we can show at the end, we'll give you that promo offer. Okay, I'm back and I am in my bill product. Like I mentioned before, everything is unified in one spot. So you've got your payables and receivables, spend and expense, and then the insights and forecasting. When you first get into the payables product, you're going to land here on the dashboard. High level, this is just going to show you current state of your business, of your bill account. So anything that needs to be scheduled is going to be here. Any bill approvals that are still waiting approval are going to be here. This is very helpful for the admins and the AP clerks that are trying to push things along so that we can send payments out on time. Last thing is payments out. This is where you can see what exactly has been scheduled, what is going to leave our bank account, and what we can expect to come out within the next X amount of days. As far as the bill pay process goes, it's going to start by this inbox. So our inbox is going to be the landing spot for our invoices. This is where we can reroute from an existing inbox. So if you have an AP email address, we can set up auto forwarding rules so that it will be pushed directly into this bill.com email address. Once it hits this email, it's going to be read by the AI and we can help you extract the data off the document so you're not manually entering in the data. You can also drag and drop. You can upload from a desktop or a downloads file. If you have our mobile app, you can actually take a picture of the document if it's a physical invoice and then upload it into the inbox. High level, biggest thing is once the document's in here, the AI is able to read it. You don't need a document to create a bill, but it does help because we're able to pull the data off and eliminate any manual entry. Once you are ready to create a bill off of a document, you're going to come into here, press enter bill, and then this is where the magic's going to happen. So header level data is going to be pulled with OCR technology. It's an older technology, but it's very effective. It's going to pull dates, amounts, numbers, right? High level information is going to be pulled off the document. The line items are going to be coded based off of true machine learning AI agents. So this is going to track and follow how you're coding for each invoice or for each vendor and follow your trends. So in this case, we have it coded to every single line item. Things are out of in different order based off of how it was coded last time. But if I were to take this invoice, consolidate it into 3 line items total, all split between 3 different departments with the exact same GL account. On that next one that comes through, the system knows that's how we want things processed for this specific vendor. So the more data you feed the AI, the more effective and accurate it's going to get. The whole idea behind the coding and the line item information is to turn this into a review process. We don't want you typing in numbers. We want you to come in, read over some things, scan over everything, make sure it looks okay, and then press create bill. We route it for approval, and then we can send out our payments. The last step in this part of the process is going to be actually adding approvers. So you can come in, add people on the fly if you need, but the more efficient way would be by utilizing what we call policies. So a approval policy is where we take inputs or criteria and apply those outputs based off of what's coded. So in this account, we have it set up so that if anything's coded to catering, it needs to go to Jay for approval. So as I update that, Jay is now added to the bill. He's going to get it after Alan approves and then I approve. He can go in and approve the bill because he owns the catering department. I didn't mention it, but I do want to cover. We will be able to pull in all of your segmentation from NetSuite. So any standard segments and up to 10 custom segments that have been created within NetSuite will pull into here and you can code them as you're creating your bills so that when they sync into NetSuite, they're already pre-coded and there's no manual work that's being done on your end. Once this looks good, you can leave notes, internal communication, but if everything is set, this looks exactly how you want it to, you'll press create bill. In this case, Alan will get an email and a push notification on his phone if he has the mobile app, telling him he has a bill to approve. He can then go in to his approval queue and actually process and either approve or deny the bill. Before we get to the approvals, I do want to show you policies high level. I mentioned that policies can be based off of criteria. You can layer the criteria on top of each other. Common examples, department, location codes, or even a total bill amount. So if this, then that. If the bill's over 10,000, it needs to go to me for approval. Or whatever the use case, you can customize these for your specific bill account. From the approver point of view, they're going to have a ongoing list of anything that's routed to them for approval. I can only see things as an approver only. I can only see things that have been routed to me for approval or anything that I have already approved in the past. There's two different options, so they can either bulk action. So if I know that all of these Hacienda Designs bills, they're good to go, it's consistent, I'm happy, I can press approve. Or if approvers want to get more information, they can always click in, see the document, see the coding, and then last five bills for this vendor will also be here. It's very helpful to just track consistency. This looks great. Everything's adding up to what I would expect to see. And then from here, they can approve or deny. If they deny, they give a reason so that the AP team knows what to adjust. And then the AP team can resubmit for approval. The idea is we want to make it as easy as possible for everybody to communicate and work within Bill without having to go back to an email or back to a Slack or team messaging. We want to make it as efficient as possible. Once it is fully approved, the final step is actually scheduling payments. I mentioned before, Bill can actually send and process payments on your behalf. All of this is going to start from the unpaid bills queue. A lot of columns here. Most important column is going to be this process date. The process date is the date that we pull the funds from your account and deliver the payment to your vendors. I'll break all of this down, but high level, there's two different ways that I personally believe you can go about this. Start by filtering. Once you get a group or a batch of payments that you want to submit at one time, you can bulk select and either use individual dates that are driven based off of the invoice due date and the payment terms, or you can use a bulk process date. So if my company, my fate company, we process bills every Friday, I can come in and say, for Friday the 1st, we are going to process this group. Whenever I come in and press review and pay, it's then going to send me to a screen to confirm. I can choose different bank accounts for each bill if I need. I can also adjust the payment amounts if I need a partial payment or if this is just a down payment. You can adjust all of this here. Whenever I press pay, it's going to put all of these into a scheduled status until this process date hits. On that day is when we pull the funds and deliver all of the payments to your vendors. If you need to, we can turn on a payment approval as well. So if you want a final okaying or a digital check signing before we actually pull the funds, we can set that up as well. So instead of going into a scheduled status, these bills would go into an on hold status until we get that approval, and then the funds can be pulled on the process date. I've covered a lot. We've also covered it very quickly. A few other things I want to cover on the AP side. One of the big ones that I hear a lot normally whenever I'm in a real demo that's live is what are the payment options? So we have domestically ACH, check, and virtual card payments. Internationally, we can send wires. Biggest, most common option is going to be an ACH. The goal for us at Bill or for you with your Bill account is to take as many vendors as we can off of check payments, if they still are on check payments, and put them into ACH payments. There's two different ways to add ACH data. One would be by your vendor giving you their bank account and routing number. You add it to their account, their vendor profile. Once it's added, we do a back-end verification. Everybody's happy. You can start sending them ACH payments directly through Bill. The other option would be through that network that I mentioned earlier. So that 8.7-ish million vendors. Our network is a place where you can connect with your vendors and automatically send them ACH payments without having to collect the banking data from them. So, easiest way that I like to conceptualize it is like a Venmo or a connection through like a PayPal for businesses. So, the way it will work is you go in, we're going to take your vendor list directly from NetSuite, run it against our network. Any vendors that are in network and you're already paying them, you have the option to connect to them. If you connect and they accept your request, You can start sending them ACH payments. We've already verified their account. They're already receiving money. And then it's going to be very efficient. You'll see it here. It'll say e-payment. Any vendors that are not in the network, you can actually invite them to join so that they give you the banking information instead of you having to reach out to them and get the bank account and routing number from them. In this network, vendors have the option to opt in to accept virtual card payments or credit card payments. This is essentially where we send a 16-digit card number to the vendor. They run it through their own processors. It's instant for the vendors, so it's very, very effective. And we also have a way for you to earn cash back on your virtual card spend when we leverage both sides of the product, so AP and the spend and expense side. The last option for domestic is going to be a check payment. So if your vendors do not want to join, they don't want to give you ACH information, we can still send checks on your behalf. These checks are encrypted, so it'll have your address and your remittance data, but the bank account and routing number will be billed data, so your data is not liable when it's being sent through the mail. We do handle everything, so no more printing, no more postage, no more positive pay, all of that's done by us. Normally, this is the process where the step where I ask for questions, but because this is all virtual and there's no questions, I'm going to jump in to a little bit of payments, show you what it looks like as far as your backend controls, and then I'm going to do a quick high level pitch of the spend and expense product. So I've covered the fact that we send the payments, we move the money for you. We still want to give you the flexibility and the visibility into those payments. So I mentioned our on hold status. These will never be sent out until they're fully approved. You can cancel or void at any time. And then we also are going to give you some tracking. So if it's an ACH payment, you'll know when it's scheduled and then whenever it's cleared into their account. If it's a check payment, we'll give you the check information, so check number and date. And then once it's deposited by the vendor, we're actually going to attach a front and back image of the check right on that payment form. So all of this is going to be here for you. You don't have to leave Bill. You're no longer having to manage in Bill and NetSuite and your bank account. It's all going to be in Bill. And then again, anytime you run a sync, we're going to pull this data, communicate it back to NetSuite, close out your bills in both Bill and NetSuite. All right, I'm going to switch into my spend and expense account. Um, when it comes to the corporate card program, first step would be applying for a credit line. And once you're approved for whatever the approval amount is, let's say for example's sake, let's say $100,000, on your company dashboard, you're now going to see that total credit limit and you can choose how you allocate and divvy out those funds. On the left-hand side here, you'll see a bunch of different tabs. Biggest, most important ones are going to be your transactions. So this is anytime somebody swipes their card, uses their card, it's going to show up here in this transactions list. Approvals. So if you're an approver as an admin, anytime there's something that needs sign off from you, you'll be able to come in here and approve. And then the other big one is going to be your budgets. So I mentioned you can divvy out your funds. You can create one-time budgets, reoccurring budgets. Biggest example of a reoccurring budget would be like a sales budget. So every month the sales team gets $10,000 to spend on whatever they'd like to bring in, more customers, more leads, whatever. This can be, again, that one would be reoccurring. It's coming monthly. You can adjust it. You can give spending power to only certain individuals. It's very flexible. You can also add policies on top of this. So these policies are saying we do need a receipt, or anything over $75, we need a receipt. So very flexible, and it's allowing you to implement policies and implement rules to the business without having to micromanage and go in every single time and request a receipt or flag an account for any time the card's used over $75. The system's going to do it automatically for you. Example of a one-time budget would be like an offsite, or in this case, a conference. If there's a such situation where you need X amount for a specific period of time, you can set it up, add whoever needs to spend against that budget. They will go in, spend, upload their receipts, and then anytime you're tracking how much was that project, how much did we spend for that specific conference, all you have to do is go into that Divvy budget, and then you'll be able to see exactly what the spend was, who spent, where they spent, all of that. Just to show you transaction lists, once it does come into here, individual card users and admins can click in to see what exactly the transaction was for. All of this information on the right-hand side is going to be customized for each different account, but it's going to match your NetSuite. So department, class, category, whatever's needed internally is what we can set up. You'll notice this does have a receipt attached, and the receipt does match the total amount. So in this case, if I needed to approve, I could confidently approve. Once it's approved, we can then sync this transaction directly into NetSuite so that both systems, again, are keeping up to date. A lot of information, a lot more things that I can dive into. I do want to show you our mobile app just so that you can see what it looks like from both the AP side and the spend and expense side. So our AP mobile app is going to be able to perform all high-level product functions. So coding bills, scheduling payments, approving payments, all of that can be done from your phone. Specifically for approvers, and I'm going to go into the approver view so you can better understand, but specifically for approvers, it's very effective because they can swipe to approve or deny. They can click in, see the document, see the coding, and then again, approve or deny right from their phone. Move myself over here. I do also want to pull up our Divvy app, and I apologize for not having this open. But from your phone, card users and admins can actually go in and see how much money they have to spend. They can request additional funds, upload receipts, see their transaction lists, and then code their transactions right from their phone. For me personally, whenever I'm spending using my card, unless I'm on my computer buying a flight or a hotel, I am going to be on my mobile app. So it's very effective and it's very quick and efficient to upload those receipts to make everybody's lives a little bit easier. From here, I'm going to go back into the deck and I'm going to mention a little bit about our customer story with Blackstone, and then I will pull up the QR code so that everybody can take advantage of the offer. Hi, this is Avery from the next day. My recording got deleted, so wanted to make sure we can definitely fit in the Blackstone customer story and our promo offer. So quickly, Blackstone is one of our customers. They were running into a lot of issues with the normal corporate card program. They recently, or they when they onboarded Divvy or the Bill Spend and Expense product, they were able to one, increase their cash back, around $60,000 in cash back, and then they're also able to internally share more cards. So with the normal card program with a normal bank, there's a lot of freedom when it comes to spending. From the bill, spend, and expense product, we give you restrictions. So real time, you can block transactions, require receipts without having to sit and follow every single transaction as it's coming through from the bank. Finally, the promo offer. If you scan this QR code and take a 30-minute demo, maybe with me, we will see, you can receive a 28-inch Blackstone griddle. We'd love to talk to you more about either AP, AR, or spend and expense. So be sure to scan this QR code and hopefully I will see you soon.